Hi, and thank you for coming to our lecture. We are going to have a presentation done by Louise, and then any questions, you can either put them in the Q&A or, and will be able to get them at the end. Otherwise, if you are ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today on this talk about operating department practice. There's a little bit of information there. So who am I? I'm Louise Humphries. I'm a registered ODP and I'm also a lecturer and the lead admissions tutor for operating department practice here at the University of Leicester. Just a quick presentation overview of what we will be discussing today, and that is why study operating department practice here at Leicester. I will talk to you about the course and also the admissions and entry requirements to actually join the programme. Just a few bits of information just to showcase our award-winning university. We are the Daily Mail University of the Year for 2025. We've also been twice shortlisted, as you can see there, as University of the Year by the Times Higher Education and also the Times and Sunday Times University of the Year 2025. We've been rated gold overall in the 2023 Teaching Excellence Framework, which is the highest ranking that is possible for outstanding student experience and outcomes. And also we are the top 30 for overall positivity in the 2024 National Student Survey, according to analysis done by the Times Higher Education. So, about the School of Healthcare, operating department practice belongs to the School of Healthcare and it was established in 2019 and houses groundbreaking courses in midwifery, nursing, operating department practice or ODP, physiotherapy, radiography, which is diagnostic radiography, and the newest course is pharmacy. ODP itself transferred from the Leicester Medical School because ODP was one of the first courses within the School of Healthcare. Obviously, there's these departments, they've all got planned growth to try and increase different things that we offer, and dedicated teams of staff who are registered with their own healthcare professionals and understand these roles as everyone has practiced within the roles. This just gives you a bit of an oversight of the courses that are offered, and obviously I'll be concentrating on the operating department practice Bachelor of Science, and also just to mention that we do offer the operating department practice degree apprenticeship, which is not something that we'll discuss here. However, if there are any information wanted from it, you know, feel free to get in touch with us at the university. So, operating department practice, or ODP, is the protected title and nationally recognised acronym. So, why study at Leicester for ODP? We've been a specialist provider for over 40 years and have well-established partnerships with the clinical hospitals that we work with. We've been at the forefront of the national provision for operating department practice over the years, and this has encouraged this partnership that we have with our hospital placements, and we have very good you know, links with our clinical placement managers that place all of our students. This is a real bonus because it improves the quality of the clinical education and also the university education that students have. As you can see from here, we have friendly group sizes of 30 to 45 students. We have 2 intakes a year, and this is the reason how we can keep our numbers lower to make them more friendly and approachable. So as it says, spring and autumn, we have a cohort that starts in April, and then the autumn cohort is the traditional September start. Okay, this is very important really, because the NHS doesn't just require ODPs at a traditional end of university year or term. It means that we can provide ODPs more constantly, so we have 2 graduations per year. With having smaller group sizes like this, it's much more beneficial for both the students and for the academic team. The students get to know each other really well because they're smaller groups. They also get to know us in the academic team well, again, because it's a small classroom to teach. And more importantly, we get to know our students really well so that we can support them, you know, and build those relationships right from day one. We work in high quality educational facilities. The building, as I've said, was there from school was from 2019. The building's not been there for that long, so it's a nice modern building. We've got 2 dedicated operating department practice classrooms and also a clinical skills room. As a programme, we are endorsed and approved by the Health and Care Professions Council, and this is standard as all ODP courses have to be approved by the HCPC. We are also validated by the CODP, which is the College of Operating Department Practitioners. This slide just shows you the National Student Survey of 2024. Leicester ODP were 8 within the group. There's around 25 different places, universities that offer ODP. So we're sort of well up in the higher ranges of the views of students that have been with us. So talking about styles of learning, there's some pictures there that show you some different aspects of what our students do and are assessed on. We have a variety of teaching styles and input. We don't what we call lecture students, so we don't stand in a large lecture theatre and talk almost at you for 45 minutes to an hour with very little interaction from our students. We have smaller classes, so we encourage interaction from students. Some of the classes will be led from the front. However, we also do different things such as encouraging interaction by group work, practical teaching. We also do things like debate questions, and we actively encourage our students to take part and to be involved, to actually feel involved within the actual session. With a variety of teaching styles and input, we also have a varied mixture of assessment methods. We still have the traditional end of term exams, but we also, and the traditional, we expect students to write assignments. But alongside with this, we also do case studies and a number of group presentations. And in one of the presentations, the students actually create an item of use for the public or for within their educational team to produce either a poster or a leaflet, information leaflet. And when they've actually produced this, they have to go and do almost like a Dragon's Den presentation to actually sell their product that they've produced and actually discuss how they've come about it. This then hopefully suits all different students' types of input and teaching styles that they prefer, because not everybody likes the same thing. Okay. Obviously, being a clinical based programme, there are authentic clinical based assessments, which I'll discuss a little later, and all students use an electronic portfolio, which is a permanently live document which enables us at the university, whilst the students are out in clinical practice, to actually look at their assessments that they are carrying out and see how they are progressing. A little bit about our staff. We're a fairly small team of 9 staff, and all of us are qualified and registered ODPs. And as it says there, we're experts in the field with a combined experience between us of well over 200 years, which does sound like we're dinosaurs a little, but we're not. Students are all supported by lead mentors when they're in clinical placement, so they always have somebody that they can go to. And also the team will have, the academic team will link with particular placement hospitals to then work together with the clinical mentors. We also network with national bodies and organisations in the field of operating department practice. Some of our staff work with the HCPC. Some of the staff also work with the CODP, so they work with them in organising things, and also external examiners for other universities. So the course structure, it is a 3-year Bachelor of Science course and is a 65% versus 35% placement versus academic split. So consequently, our students spend a lot of time in clinical practice gaining the valuable practical skills that they require. There are 5 compulsory modules each year, so there's no worrying about having to choose any modules, it's all compulsory. And the one difference with some of the universities is that we have an year-round 48-week programme, which means that we don't have the traditional summer break, you know, the long summer break. The timetable is split into study block weeks and clinical placement weeks, so that this means a student either is in university or they're in clinical placement, and we find that makes it easier for them to, as a student, you get your study block week before you go into the speciality, so that we impart all the knowledge that is required to then go and practice and learn more whilst on clinical placement. Each study block week is 27 hours of learning and 10.5 hours of self-directed learning. This encumbers Monday to Friday, and on average it is a 10 o'clock start on a Monday, because obviously we deal with students in different hospitals in quite a distance from Leicester. So it is 10 till 4 on a Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is 9 till 4, and then Friday is 9 until it varies between 12:30 and 1 p.m. The placement weeks, when a student is in clinical placement, they work 30 hours and also have 7.5 hours of self-directed learning. This is dependent upon the particular hospital that a student is working with, how the hours are divided, but on average, students tend to do 3 days of 10-hour shifts, which then gives them a few extra days, so that they're not working 5 complete days. As you can see from the images, the year 1 is foundation skills, so we build on the foundations and start you off afresh. Year 2 is the development of skills, so we develop what we've learned in the first year, and then we go on to enhanced and advanced skills in year 3, and then graduation and qualification, where a student can then register with the HCPC as a registered ODP. An outline of the course. These are the modules that we currently teach. So year 1, as you can see, foundations of operating department practice to get the basics to start off with, and then we start to specialise a little bit more in surgical practice, anaesthetic practice, practice development, and actually progression from year 1 to year 2. And then foundations of professional practice in healthcare, which runs concurrently along the other 4 modules of the year. Year 2 is where we start to specialise, so we'll look into more specialised surgeries, so for example obstetrics, paediatrics, you know, to name a few. Then post-anaesthetic practice, where a patient is cared for post-anaesthetic and post-surgery. Critical care and non-elective practice. So critical care is obviously patients that, you know, go to intensive care or in between intensive care and a standard ward. And non-elective means any emergency work. So that can cover a multitude of standard emergencies, trauma, orthopedics, and obviously emergency obstetrics. Practice development and progression 2, again, is you know, the progression year. And then again, development of professional practice in healthcare is another module that runs alongside that through the whole year, alongside the other 4 modules. Then we move on to year 3, where enhanced practice is speaks for itself, really, where students are starting to learn more and more enhanced practice practical skills that they can use in the future. We concentrate on clinical leadership and management, also the practice development and progression. And then you can see there's the major project, topic research, and the major project of the final report. This is what other programs or other traditional university courses might call a dissertation. Ours is actually split into 2, but it is all linked to the same thing. Academic topics that we cover throughout the course. The list is exhaustive, so this isn't all of them. It just gives you an idea of what we focus on. Obviously, anatomy and physiology of the whole body. Operative technology, so a lot of the technology that we use in the within the operating theatre now. We focus on anaesthetics and surgery, because obviously they're the important parts of the roles that we do. We look at pharmacology and health and safety, which health and safety, is everyone is aware these days, is extremely important. We look at infection control and prevention of infection whilst patients are actually in theatre. Patient care is a huge part of what we do. We're a patient's advocate, hence why we focus a great deal on patient care. We look into legal and ethical issues of caring for patients within the operating theatre and beyond. And policy and procedure. Everything that we do is bound by policies and procedures regarding to national policies and procedures from the NHS, from the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, and also local policies and procedures to that specific hospital or operating theatre. We look at recovery or post-anaesthetic care. It depends which hospital you work in as to what they call it, and we look at the physiology behind waking up from anaesthetics and also care of the patient in that area and the effects anaesthetics can have, and also different types of local anaesthetics, because patients are still looked after in the post-anaesthetic care unit prior to going back to the ward. And then we cover a few scientific topics, which I'm sure you can imagine, because it links to not only the patient, but also the equipment and the reasons why we do what we do within anaesthetics and surgery. Our clinical placements cover a wide area. They give us a wide variety of clinical experience as well. For every student that we take on the course, they have a specific area that they will be based at for the 3 years. So this means that they have consistent periods on placement. They then become part of the team and feel part of the team. And with this in mind, we generally tend to recommend that students live near their placement, either now when they're applying or relocate before they actually start the course. Obviously, as you can see, there's a larger area that we cover. We understand that some of these areas are further away from Leicester when we're expecting you to be in university. So with this in mind and having the awareness that obviously where you are living. When you're at clinical practice, you're obviously paying for accommodation there. We have a heavily subsidised accommodation that is guaranteed at the university if you wish to stay for the study block weeks, as opposed to travelling each day. You'll have, as I said, the benefit of staying at the same placement hospital for the whole of your 3-year degree. That way you can see all the different specialities in that hospital that you work at, and it helps with settling in and becoming part of the team. It enables you to become embedded into the theatre teams. You get to know the staff, which makes it just easier than transferring between different hospitals. Some of the hospital placements that we use do have 1 or 2 or even 3 hospitals within their area that belong to the same trust. So you will go to, you know, if they have 3 hospitals, you'll go to each one because there are different specialities in each area. The idea of having such heavily dominated clinical placements is you are working with real patients all the time, which means that you're going to get a real life experience. This in turn prepares you for qualification. It prepares you for, as soon as you've completed your 3 years, you are ready to go straight out into theatre and actually practice as a registered and qualified ODP. Also, we have live clinical assessment, which means that you are constantly being assessed when you are working with your mentors in clinical practice. And it means you get your assessment there and then, but it also means that you get live feedback immediately so that you know how you are progressing or where you can improve on things. You can just see from the map the different areas that we cover. So there's Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire, Rutland, Northamptonshire and Leicestershire. All students that actually apply and start on a healthcare course can also have the NHS Learner Support Fund. Where it says if you're eligible, this means that generally if you're eligible for student finance, then you are eligible to apply for the NHS Learning Support Fund. And this is a training grant of £5,000 per academic year that does not have to be repaid. So this is £5,000 that you get every single academic year for the duration of your degree, and you get to keep that. Again, if eligible, there's also parental support of an extra £2,000 if you have at least one dependent child under 15 years or under 17 years if registered with special educational needs. You are also entitled for money back for excess travel and temporary accommodation costs. These are travel and dual accommodation expenses. So, for example, if you're living away from Leicester, although you are placed at a Leicester hospital, you can claim money back. This is all explained to you when you start, is explained in more detail how it works. Okay, and as you can see from there, there are rules and exemptions which will apply, which will be explained in greater detail by the team that deal with that. Students also experience financial hardship. There is an exceptional support fund, and again, advice can be given by the student finance and also in the university, there's a student financial department that can help and guide you in the right direction of what is required. Now we'll talk about employability. We're proud to say at this university that we have a 100% employment record. Every ODP that we have taught and trained and graduated have all gone on to get work. Now, this isn't hugely difficult at the moment in the current climate because, as I'm sure you all know, the NHS are, wanting more and more staff. Operating lists are getting longer and longer, the waiting lists are getting longer, and consequently we need to train more staff to keep up with the demand. Once qualified, you have to register with the Health and Care Professions Council, and we will support you with that at the end of your degree. And ODP vacancies in the NHS and the independent sector, as I've said, remain high. And I think they always will do. You will always need ODPs. So it is a fairly safe career to be in. There's also a well-developed career ladder that is increasing as years go on. So there are places that you can go, there are extra training that you can do. You can go in to do master's degrees, which will then enable you to do further roles that are available to operating department practitioners. So the ODP role, what makes a good ODP? The ODP role is that you are working in the operating department. That is primarily the ODP's base. Yes, ODPs are branching out more, but the traditional role of what we will train you to be is working within the operating department, the operating theatre. There are 3 key roles: anaesthetics, surgery and recovery. Anaesthetics, you will support an anaesthetist with anaesthetising a patient, but in this point we are there as well to actually support the patient. Prior to the patient or the anaesthetist arriving, an ODP will prepare the anaesthetic room, they will check the equipment, they will check the drugs, they'll prepare everything ready for the operating list so that when the anaesthetist comes in, everything is ready there for the patient. Likewise with surgery, on the surgical side there are 2 roles. You can either be working alongside the surgeon, where you are actually scrubbed in the theatre scrubs and are, sterile to assist with the surgery, in the fact that you will be in charge of all the instruments that are used. So consequently, prior to the surgery happening in the theatre, and all the equipment has to be checked. The operating list has to be planned, and then you look at the operating list and ensure that all the equipment that is required for that operating list is available. During the actual procedure, if you are scrubbed, you are in charge of all those instruments. Your role is to ensure that they're all safe, that you're preparing everything for the surgeon to actually carry out the surgery. There's also another surgical role where you are not scrubbed at the table. That it is called a circulating role, which is highly important. The circulator is there to anticipate the needs of the scrub practitioner and enable them to have equipment given to them that's needed, that is sterile, etc. Also, the other role, which I mentioned earlier, is recovery or post-anaesthetic care of the patient. In this respect, you'll be caring for a patient and supporting them whilst they are waking up from their anaesthetic or different types of anaesthesia that we use. But the whole important part of all of this role is caring for the patient. It can be said that or has been said in the past that ODPs don't get patient care and don't get patient interaction. ODPs are working with those patients at all times, so we do have a good interaction with patients. But we also have quite a technical role where you're working with equipment. You've got to understand how that equipment works, how to check it, how to ensure that it's safe to actually use for the operating list. We also have a lot of interprofessional working. We work very closely in the School of Health with our other colleagues, and we have interprofessional education where we learn about each other's roles and the importance of them and how we can work together to better the care for a patient. As has been mentioned before, registered practitioner with the HCPC once qualified, and it should never be forgotten that the ODP is an essential member of the operating department team. Opportunities to open to ODPs. On the course, there's a wide variety of clinical experience that's available, which includes elective and emergency surgical fields, so you'll be exposed to a number of different things. Our placements are in high-ranked NHS organisations. We're proud to work with these organisations. And for the career, as mentioned, a well-developed career ladder. We teach valuable skills such as leadership, obviously education, ODPs can go on to education, as the whole of our team have. You can go into other specialist roles. You can go into advanced roles such as surgical first assistant, which is SFA, surgical care practitioner, physician's associate, to name just a few. But it's one thing to stress that it is not a stepping stone course to be a doctor. To be a doctor, you have to go to medical school and do an entirely different course. These are just a few comments that have come from student perspectives, reasons as to why they chose the university, why they're proud to have been students at our university. We're very proud of our diversity and diverse nature of the way we treat and teach our students. It's nice to see comments such as the enthusiasm from staff has made me want to learn more. That is all we want. We want our students to get the best out of their degree whilst they're studying with us at the University of Leicester. So to apply to Leicester, you apply through UCAS for the traditional route, and shortlisting is done based on the academic entry criteria and personal statements. It's widely believed that personal statements aren't always read. I can actually guarantee, as the admissions tutor, that I read every single personal statement of every applicant that we have for the course. Our course, we ask for, if studying A-levels, we ask for BBC or 112 UCAS points or equivalent to that. So we work along to ensure that we have 112 points. So it may not necessarily be BBC, but that is something we can discuss with an applicant individually. We also accept BTEC courses and access to higher education courses, so long as they're a health related topic. We accept T-levels. There's a number of different T-levels with the occupational specialities. We'll accept specialities such as the occupational with nursing, also assisting theatre, etc. We require all our students to have GCSEs 3, ideally at grade C or 4 or above. So C or 4 is the minimum. If English is not your first language, then we expect the IELTS of a minimum of 6.5. Standard for the course and part of the application process is every student has to have a DBS check. This is the disclosure and barring service that is checked with the police to make sure that all our applicants do not have a police record. And occupational health clearance, all students go to occupational health and have to be vaccinated, etc. We do welcome mature applicants. It is we get a very varied mixture of age groups for this course, so it's not just school leavers, etc. So for interview and offer, if you're successfully shortlisted, you will be invited to an interview. We interview all applicants and we have a mini interview process to make it equitable and fair for everybody. If you are successful, you will be made an offer, but we don't just give you an offer, we actually give you an offer with your clinical placement, so that when you get your offer, you know which hospital placement you will be based at. This is discussed at the interview, and we generally ask, well, we always ask our applicants which would be their first and second choice for placement base, and obviously we can't guarantee it, but we do try to offer the first or second place. We also then offer a pre-entry administration day, which is where we invite all our applicants, all our offer holders in to come and meet each other, so they get to meet one another in the cohort, to get to know them a little better, to make it a little less daunting for the first day actually at university, and we'll do some basic administration as well. So what are we looking for at the University of Leicester for our ODP programme? We're looking for people that have got good people skills. You need to be able to talk to complete strangers and to feel fairly comfortable doing so. We really need you to have the ability to care. It's a caring profession. Any patient is vulnerable that is coming into a hospital environment, and especially a surgical environment. They want to know that they're going to be cared for by people that want to be there and that want to care. At the end of the day, our main role is to be an advocate for a patient. So that is really important. We'd like our students to have an understanding of the NHS core values, what they mean to the NHS and what they mean to patients. We'd like you to have an enthusiasm to actually pursue a career in the operating department There's nothing better than somebody who's so enthusiastic about wanting to be an ODP. It's wise to be able to have the ability to adapt to the operating department environment. It is a very different environment to a ward or to anywhere else where you'd work. You may hear things that shock you, and you start to build a thicker skin to be within that unusual environment. We need you to have good communication skills. We have to communicate amongst each other with a multidisciplinary team, and also with different patients. You need to have different types of communication skills to deal with different patients, as we're all different. We need you, importantly, to have professional attributes. This is actually a professional course, and we teach you to be professional throughout the course, and we expect that from you. And last but not least, we'd like you to be reliable and have a hard working attitude. Again, these are really important attributes of a good ODP. There's a picture there of some of one of our cohorts of typical applicants. As you can see, we have a wide variety of backgrounds. We have a wide variety of ages. We have school and college leavers. We have mature applicants. We have career changers. So these are people that may have worked in theatre, worked in a different area that think, no, I want to try something different. And also we have healthcare progressors, and by that it's people that are in a different role, say within theatre or within a hospital, that want to progress further up the career ladder and apply to become an ODP. So why ODP at Leicester? We provide you with your theatre shoes so you don't have to buy those yourselves. We provide you with a hoodie with a logo. We also provide you with an iPad on loan to enable you to use an electronic portfolio whilst you're in clinical placement. But best of all, we've got expert staff with expert-led clinical placements, which equals expert students and expert ODPs of the future. There is the email address if anybody has any queries that say they didn't want to ask tonight but want to get further information. Please feel free to email at the email that you can see on screen, and especially admissions information. Those emails will all get forwarded to me from our admin team. So any questions? I'll stop sharing my screen so that I can see the chat. Ooh. What experiences do you have with fostering a neurodiverse environment? Are there regular one-to-ones if needed for students? That's a really good question. We are very aware of neurodiverse students, and we have a number of neurodiverse students within some of our cohorts now. We have opportunities for regular one-to-ones. All our lecturers are personal tutors, and each module you will meet with your personal tutor at least once, generally twice a month. That doesn't mean to say that we can't see a student separately. All they do is they contact their personal tutor and you know, they'll organise a meeting between themselves. We also come out to clinical placement to see our students as well, and have regular meetings with the students and with the clinical placement manager, so that we can support you in any which way we can. That is something that we're really, really proud of at the University of Leicester, and especially in the ODP programme, is the support that we offer for our students, both you know, academic support, but as well pastoral support. I hope I've answered that question. Is there anything in place to help us with transport if we do not live in uni accommodation? There are, it depends on where you're based. Obviously, if you mean to get to university when you're not living in Leicester, then yes, there is support. You can claim some of your transport costs, but again, that will be explained in greater depth when you are actually here. Just wondered if there's any more questions at all. What's my favourite module to teach? Well, the module that I'm in, that I lead, is the post anaesthetic care unit. So I love teaching about recovery, but all of the team teach across all of the modules over the 3 years. I do teach a lot of anatomy and physiology. I love anatomy, I find it fascinating. But my favourite subject, if I had to name one, is obstetrics and gynecology. That is where I worked predominantly for about 20 years. So I've got a lot of experience in those areas, and I just find them fascinating.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for speaking, Louise. I hope everybody has a good rest of your evening. And of course, feel free to go to either information given to you for any more questions, either the laac.uk study undergrad information website, or the email address that Louise gave you. So have a good rest of your night, guys.